What's up, guys? Z Farrell's here with some draft champions in Madden 17. It's back this year. It's going to be bigger than ever, and we are excited to give you 5 tips to help you win more games in draft champions. Let's lock into a first draft. We'll get this thing going. I mean, the number one tip is your coach. Obviously, the coach still gives you the playbooks out there, so it lets you know what type of coach they are. I think the defensive side is more helpful than seeing the offensive side. But you've got to kind of have a little bit of playbook knowledge, and something that you can do is bookmark this channel you're watching the video, because we'll have breakdowns and plays from all different playbooks and maybe some rankings where you can actually come in and say, okay, Saints is generally better than this playbook. But you've got to think defensively. I know here I want to play a 3-4 defense, and really that's going to mean that the Bears is the best option. However, I would say that the Saints playbook Falcons playbook is in my top 5 books. So we'll go Falcons. They actually have a really good 4-3 defensive book. And what that means is we're not going to play as much 3-4. We're going to end up playing more nickel. So now that we have our playbook, we need to start building the team towards that. And that's the first tip. Get your coach, and then you're going to end up getting, the scheme you need towards that. Now, the number 2 thing I always look for is a quarterback. I think quarterback is the most valuable position, and once you get one, you don't have to worry about it the rest of the time. So, I do have Manziel and Vic, so I do have speed quarterbacks. I really actually, like these 2 guys as the dudes. Like, they're really good options if you're unable to get a quarterback, but I mean, we can't mess around. John Elway is the guy here. I mean, he's just so much more valuable than these 2. I've got to go with John Elway. You've got to get that quarterback. That's my second most important thing, is just grabbing it, locking it, forgetting about it. Because when the game's on the line and you need a big throw, who are you going to call? You're going to call your quarterback, all right? Now, the third thing you want to do, and you want to do it as the game starts, but you want to check out that base team. Now, we noted earlier that Manziel and Vic were on the squad. But as you switch between offensive and defensive players, you'll be able to see, who is on your base team. So we know at tight end, we don't really have any sleepers. We know at halfback that Roy Halou is a little quick and maybe has some pretty good route running out of the backfield. So he's a guy that we feel, pretty good. What we're going to do here is actually go and grab Jimmy Graham, because we don't have a tight end option here that could really fill in. And I think Jimmy Graham will be perfect for what we want to do with this Falcons offense. They obviously used Gonzalez for a long time. They should still have some plays in their playbook. But looking at the base team, if you grab a defensive player, you'll be able to switch to the other side, look, and then you can kind of start figuring out how you want to adapt your team. But keying in on those guys can save you some picks and can really make your team better. Not in the overall, but in the lineup. So we'll keep digging through the draft right here. It's going to make us take an offensive lineman here. When you get an offensive lineman, this is just kind of a bonus tip, is like you always want to sort by strength, I would say first, and then you want to look at pass block, run block, and what you want to do in this situation is figure out whoever has the highest of what you're trying to do. So you either kind of want to be building towards a run block or a pass block team, because it's kind of too expensive to make both. Now, Will Beatty is the best in run block, pass block, but he's the weakest. Vollmer is the strongest, but he's only really good he's decent at run block. And Osamili here he's at the guard. It's not as premium of a position as tackle, and he's kind of the most balanced of the bunch. So normally I would take Osamili here. If he was a tackle, you could also probably play him at tackle, but I am going to go with Vollmer here and hope he can hold up, even though he is 4 points and 3 points less in those categories. But I'll take Vollmer here, but that's a tough pick, and it's not always linemen that you want to get. Now that we have a defensive player on the board, and we can actually see that we have Trey Waynes, so we do have a sleeper on the squad. I think Hagman's actually pretty strong and a pretty good run stuffer, and then we'll have nothing at free safety, and at corner we've got Rowe, so we'll check on Rowe. But, Trey Waynes, that means I got to take one less corner. And in general, my number 2 tip is corners. I don't think they're going to be as potent, as powerful as they've been in years past. I was a big proponent of corners last year with aggressive catch. And then I know a lot of people said, well, it doesn't matter. You're going to get aggressive caught on, so why not just never take a corner? We saw those guys not do their best in the events. So it's always there, but I think with the new swap button, Trey Waynes, as long as they don't get, some insane Julio Jones, I think we'll be okay. So I'm not going to invest insanely heavy at corner. I'm not going to roll 4 corners unless that's what it gives me, but I'm not as focused on that. Now, my number one tip here is defense, right? You always got to think defensively. We've got the 4-3 playbook, but we also have 4-4. So, we've got Hagman, who we know is a good run stuffer. Poe would be another tremendous run stuffer. I'm thinking early in draft champions, as much as I love these two guys, they're a little slow and they're definitely more physical players. Ware's a pass rusher, but I think you find pass rushers and athleticism kind of, I don't want to say anywhere, but, this is between Poe and Ray here. Because I want to play 4-4, and I'm not actually going to play a lot of nickel in this scheme, I'm not going to take Ray. I am going to take Poe because I plan on needing to have 4 down linemen this entire time. And now I get rewarded with Hightower. Jarrell Casey would be the 4th lineman here. He would be excellent at stuffing the run also. Eric Berry's an option with pretty good zone coverage, pretty good speed. But like I said, I'm going to play 4-4. And while I would love Berry as that user-free safety in the middle, I've got to start to fill out my linebacker position, and Hightower is one of the better ones. So I'm starting to plot out and build towards that defense. Now, I've already taken a quarterback, so I know I don't need anybody else. And Todd Gurley is basically an instant selection because of how good truck backs are. Truck backs are excellent in this game. Iapati's a great run blocker. If we were building just a pure run block team, you'd take this guy. You'd take this guy all day, even though he doesn't have the best pass block. I am going to instead, though, go with Jeremy Maclin and his 86 speed and 85 route running, which isn't great, even though we do have John Brown sleeping on the bench. John Brown is just straight chilling, sleeping on the bench right now. That's my speed guy. So I got a speed guy, and then I got a decent route run guy at this point with Maclin. And I've got the tight end. So I have 3 of my receiving options with Todd Gurley. So I've got 4 out of 5. So all I need is one more guy. If I want it to be 2 tight ends, I can take Ertz. If I want it to be, somebody else, I can wait. Now, I might have waited if Tyrone Crawford was a better run stuff player, because that's what I need, but he is not a very strong defensive tackle, so I can't take him. I can't take Bushrod, so I am going to end up taking Ertz. That gives me 2 tight ends, a fast receiver, a route running receiver, and a great halfback. So I'm pretty good on offense. Campbell could be that next line run stuffer. Burnett's not Barry, but I passed there. But he's still pretty good, and I am going to need a guy in the middle. But, this is whether I value the D-line and want to stop the run, or if I value Wagner, who can do a little bit more. I'm going to take Bobby Wagner. Between Wagner and Hightower, our front's looking good. Ely, not the strongest. Now, note that Buchanan is a middle linebacker. He would give you my 3rd of the day. Houston could come in at backer as well. He's very good in the run game, but he's 12 points slower. So we're going to take Buchanan, and we now have 3 of 4 linebackers for that 4-4. Telvin Smith will be the last one, even though Bailey is a great option. Now, Nick Perry would be the pass rushing pick of the bunch. He does have 85 block shed. I love Telvin Smith, though. But here's the thing. I can only user so many guys, right? Between Wagner, Buchanan, and Hightower, that's some pretty good user options. So, I could let Perry rush on his own because you're not really going to do that with him. You can move him down. Telvin Smith, at this point, just doesn't present me as much user sleeper value as I would think. We get rewarded with Cam Chancellor. Look, I can't take Brandon Marshall. I already have 5 offensive players. This is draft champs. You got to build the team to what you got. If I take Brandon Marshall, well, then I got 6 players. I also got Strong, who's pretty good. So I have to take Cam Chancellor because I passed on 2 safeties already, and I still have Trey Waynes. I'm looking for 1 corner still. I'm not going to get it. I could put Weddle in, but these 2 guys are too slow to play at safety. So this is kind of a tough pick. It's probably going to be Weddle. I just can't imagine taking another lineman. And I really wanted that to be a corner. That's just kind of the roll of the dice, Wow. Adrian Peterson, I've already taken a quarterback, Jordy Nelson. Now the game's gonna, force me here to take my 6th offensive player. I would say Jordy Nelson's too similar to Jeremy Maclin, both in speed and route running. So I can't really take him. Adrian Peterson's the second or the best halfback in the game, and Todd Gurley's probably the second. So maybe I'll have to go and turn it into a ground game attack. These 2 halfbacks are insane. Now, my last selection does give me the corner that I need in Delvin Breaux. He's actually pretty legit, 6'1". And I felt like I did enough at the linebacker position. I got 3. I actually got 4 of them. So, while it didn't give me a DE, that would have made kind of this pick tough because I have Poe and Hagman. I went with the linebackers over the linemen. I can always slide them down. I can't slide the linemen back to linebacker, though. And we take Delvin Breaux. And we've got Waynes and Breaux with 2 safeties. So overall, we end up at 80, but we end up with a team that we really like. The last tip I'll give you for Draft Champions is just to make sure you head into your lineup and really kind of adjust it. It doesn't always fill in everything all the way. Like, it looks like we're missing Zach Ertz here, and so we want to make sure, because we would have probably gone into game and maybe been missing Ertz. So that's just something to keep in mind. You want to compare, all the guys. It's finally, if you didn't know who was a sleeper, it's a good time to take a look and see who else is on the squad. Does any of these guys have run block? Does any of these guys have a unique talent? It's really where you end up. We'll sub John Brown in manually in the menus, but we'll take a look at strong here. And then defensively, just making sure everything shook out how you expected it to. And, we want to make sure Nick Perry is in the game. They did. They moved him down to left end. And overall, that's some tips to make sure your Draft Champions experience is fun. You can always draft again. There's a lot of different ways to play. So no matter if you're competing online or just playing the computer or playing a friend, you can always have fun in Draft Champions. All right, guys? Until next time, this is Z Farrell signing out. Let me know in the comments your best overall draft, who you had. 2 backs right here. AP and Todd Gurley is insane, guys. It's insane. So, I'm lucky. Hopefully you guys get lucky too. And enjoy. Subscribe. We'll be back with more videos.